Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to route out this Bart Simpson character on this rough fencing wood. You can see how rough it is at the back. We'll have that all sanded down before the end of the project. Just take a couple of minutes just to sand the front down, basically so you can draw over this easier, and it just makes a smoother finish for the router base to run on. Now, as always for me, I like to put my template on with a bit of painter's tape and use good old carbon paper or graphite paper. And you literally would put that underneath like so and draw around it with a pen, pencil, anything of your choice. Once you've drawn around that, you can just pull that off and you can use that again and again and again. Therefore, you're saving on paper at the same time. Now, there's our image transferred on there. That's plenty enough for what we want. As long as we've got some decent lines to run on and see, we shouldn't have any issues whatsoever. Now for me, as always, I like to use CNC bits to go around all my lines first at a nice depth. We're going 3mm today, which is literally the same thickness as your CNC bit. So that is how deep we'll route out today. These are your CNC bits. This is a 20°, this one today. Now they have a Dremel size shaft on them, 3.175mm, and they will fit in a Dremel no problem if you're going to use a Dremel router attachment. However, for a 1/4" shank or shaft router, you need an adapter reducer bit, which is obviously 1/4", 6.35mm, and you need to just slot that in there. That will now fit a 1/4" router, no problem whatsoever. And we'll use this to go around all the lines like so, round the whole lot, and then we can put that to one side. They do come in different packages like this. They used to have blue and red and yellow heads on. Now they all come with blue heads on. So 20s and 30s in there, 15s and 10s in another packet. It was better with the different coloured heads on, because you knew that a red was a 20, a blue was a 30. Now you've got to look and take your chance. Why they altered them, I have no idea. But once we've gone around them all, we'll use these end milling bits. These are fantastic. I've certainly got no issues with these. Some you get with the coloured band on. Some you can purchase without the band on. I do recall when I first got these, I did try to remove that, but that is solid. And the idea of that is when you remove your CNC bit, you would literally just push that up to that barrier, and you know you've got it in the right place. So up nice and tight. Pop that into your router the same. And we'll use that for doing all our clear out. Now these kind of projects, you have two options. I'm going to do what they call inset routing. But basically I'm going to remove everything on the inside of the project. Or this. If it was outset, you would do the outer line, or obviously the outer background. We're actually going to cut this out on a scroll saw. So we've got no interest in the background whatsoever for now. All we're interested in is these inner sections, inset. But like I say, you could cut out the line work itself, just that, all the way around the full project. And therefore these bits would stand up and look like they've been glued onto the backer board afterwards, like a scroll saw project. If you wanted to do that, that's fine. I just prefer to take the inner sections out. Just a personal thing. So we've done the CNC bits, we've done our end miller bits. There is different bits out there. There's fancy profile bits, spiral up cuts, V-groove bits, anything that you can find. It just a personal thing, and find out what works for you. Okay, we'll set this all up in the router, and we'll start cutting this one out with the router, and then we'll talk about the scroll saw nearer the time. Right, we've made it all the way round with our CNC bits. This cuts this fencing wood really, really nice. Just about to see from that. Some of these areas, the smaller sections, I've just removed with the CNC bit. And if that's all you have, you could do this full project with that. It will definitely take you a little bit longer. But if all you've got is CNC bits, just take your time and use them. There is bigger bits out there. I'll just show you very quickly. These are metric imperial straight flush bits. Now you can see how big that is on there. And that's a beast of a thing. If you were clearing that back out with that one, it would whip it out, no problem whatsoever. And they come in various sizes, right down to the smallest one, the 1/8 bit I think that is. Back in the day when I first started, that's all I ever used on everything. That was for doing the lines with and all the clear out, just with that one little bit. So if you're just starting out and you don't want to go out and waste a lot of money on all your fancy bits and stuff, you can actually just purchase one bit like that and that would do everything. Now, as always for me, for the clear outs, I like to use end milling bits. You get a pack of 10 of different sizes. We've picked one out that we know is going to fit into our smaller sections. That's why I removed these ones here. If you see, I've already done those with the CNC bits, but that would fit in there nicely. But it's plenty big enough to clear all the rest out. So anything that you think's a bit tight or struggle with later on, just remove it with the CNC bit and that'll come out really nice. Okay, so it's just a case of removing the CNC bit, 20 degree on that one. You get a lot of projects out of that. That's not a one project bit. I can get 6, 10. I've been 15 projects down the line and I'm still using the same bit. And they are cheap. They're not worth sharpening up. I'll actually just throw it away and get a new one out. So we've removed that one. We'll just pop that in like so. Into the silver end. You want that dark section, not the bit that goes into your router. Just make sure you've got it the right way around. And you just push it onto that little barrier. Like I said previously, you can actually get bits that don't have the barrier on. Don't let that put you off. They're just a different make and a different name. But exactly the same thing and serve the same purpose. Okay, like I say, we'll pop that in the router. We'll set it to our depth, which is going to be one of those there. Any of those. So it's the same depth. And we'll literally just start clearing this one out. We'll do that next. Right, we've made it all the way round in one piece. We've not lost anything. Those end milling bits, they do route out really nice. Now remember, these are just the bits that I use. There's better bits out there for sure. Not something I've tried. Spiral uppercuts, profile bits for doing your lines, V-grooves if you're going to do really deep cuts, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. The list is certainly endless. Just a case of finding out what actually works for you. And I've certainly got no issues with my little cheap CNC bits and end milling bits. You can see from that it routes out no problem whatsoever. Now we're going to cut this out with a scroll saw. You could leave that on that wood, no problem, and literally route out the backer just so he stands up 3mm obviously, because that is the depth that we routed at. That's entirely a personal thing. I just like to cut my projects out because it involves the router and using a scroll saw as well. Nice little scrouter projects as I call them. Now for your blades, for me personally, I do like a spiral blade. Now it's called a spiral because literally the teeth spiral the full length of the blade from top to bottom. Like any of your scroll saw blades, you want to feel smooth on the way down and rough on the way up. That way you know you've got it in the right way around. With the spiral blades, it doesn't matter which way you put it. You could turn that here, turn it around. There's no front and back to a spiral because obviously it's spiraled. Now on your normal blades, like a pin blade like so, they're called pin blades because you have a pin at one end and a pin at the other. You'll have the T facing towards you. Same again, if you just turn that round, smooth on the way down, we'll turn it round again. Smooth on the way down and rough on the way up. T facing towards you, you know you've got your blade the right way in. Now you could use that on today's, because it is outset cut should I say, no problem whatsoever. If you're doing really delicate work, if you notice there, we've drilled a pilot hole in there, just with a drill. So we've got to feed our blade into that and cut out that section just between his little legs there. Now, pinless blades, which is this is, obviously it's got no pins on at all. They're ideal because you would feed it through the hole. Then you set that up on your scroll saw, put your clamp at top and bottom, and you're good to cut it out. If that was a really, really small piece that you're not going to get in with the pin blade like so, you would not get that in there. Definitely not that way on. You might just get away if you turn it on its side, but therefore you'd have to drill 2 holes. So the pin blades, can you restrict you a bit if you're trying to feed that? You imagine trying to cut out that centre of those feet, you're just not going to fit in with a pin blade. So they're okay for your bigger outer cuts. Your smaller ones, you need a pinless blade. They will just slot in there nicely. And I just showed you a little bundle here. There's actually 8 blades in there, so that's how small they are. But I do prefer a spiral blade, literally because you can cut it in any direction. There's no turning of the wood. We could come in there like so, and just go like that with the wood, down and around. Whereas a normal blade, be it a pinned or pinless, you would have to feed it in there. You'd cut that round there, turn your wood, cut it down there, and then you'd have to turn it and turn it and turn it and turn it and turn it. Some fantastic people out there can do fantastic work. I'm not so clever with the flat straight blades, which those two are, so I'll stick with the spirals. Okay, let's set it up and we'll cut this one out quickly. Right, we've made it all the way around with our Pegas 5 spiral blade, no problem whatsoever. Now the spiral blades, you either love or hate them. I've certainly got no issues with them. They cut well enough for what I want. People say they're a rough cut and stuff, but personally myself, I don't see it. All you're left with is the bit of fluff in there, and on this kind of rough wood, a couple of seconds like that, and now that's all nice and clear. And that's those sides basically done. Now we're just going to clear the insides now. As always for me, I like to use a flexi cable. This basically just attaches to the end of your Dremel or rotary tool. And just something makes it easier to hold. I like to use engraving bits in the end. eBay again. If you put in Dremel engraving bits, you'll get packs to these with 30 plus different bits in. I like to get a nice flat bottom one, and we'll literally just go around it all like so. Just give it a general tidy up. Good bit of old sandpaper in between, and even a mouse sand if you wanted to, and you can skim over the whole lot like so. Once it's all nicely tied up, we'll get onto the painting side of things. Okay, general tidy up. Right, that's enough sanding down for me. It's near enough for the side of this shed. Now, for hanging purposes, I like to use a T-slot bit in the back there. on the router, basically looks like that. 1/4 inch shaft on that one, and it's a 5/16 at the end, which is just near enough for the size of the screw head I like to use. And you literally just pop that in your router, sit it over the top, lower it down, route it across, go back again and lift it out, and that's as easy as that. Then when you come to hang it on, you pop your screw into your fence, into your wall, leaving as little as the head as you can see. That makes it really tight to get that on there like so, and that's perfect, plenty enough for hanging. Obviously bigger projects you could put maybe a slit at the top and a slit at the bottom. Okay, painting wise, just cheap acrylic paints today. Mine are Crawford and black. These work fine, and remember, we're just going to paint the inside of all this so we can put it on fairly roughly. It doesn't have to be too perfect if we go over the sides, because we will sand over it all at the end with a mouse sander, and then we'll do all the outlines in black just to make it all stand up nicely. So near enough yellow for the face, a nice red top, some blue shorts, blue trainers, and a bit of white going in between for the eyes. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. Now I gave Bart 3 or 4 coats of the yacht varnish, just give him a nice shine and a little bit more protection with it going outside. Now it's not the best finish in the world, but it certainly does for my little project. There is other ones out there, and it's just a case of finding one that you're happy with. And that's it, it's done. So there we have him, our little Bart Simpson. He measures in at 14 inches by roughly 6 inches across, routed out on fencing wood with CNC bits for the lines and end milling bits for the clear out, and then we use a Pegas 5 spiral blade to cut him out. Right, we'll go and find a space on the shed with the other projects. Thank you very much for watching.